In the fallout of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation controversy, Joe Rogan, whose endorsement of Donald Trump preceded the 2024 election, issued a powerful and public rebuke of the Trump administration's handling of key information. On July 25, during an episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan spoke with former CIA officer Mike Baker and delivered what he called a line in the sand moment. Rogan began by recalling the optimism surrounding Trump's presidency. Trump had campaigned on a promise to drain the swamp and restore transparency. Rogan said many believed the new administration would confront entrenched corruption, deliver overdue answers on significant scandals, and bring a new era of accountability. When it came to the Jeffrey Epstein case, however, Rogan's tone changed. He expressed outrage that crucial files and documents, long demanded by the public, remained withheld. "We thought Trump was going to come in and a lot of things were going to be resolved," Rogan recalled. Instead, he said, the administration has seemed to retreat from its promises. On Epstein, Rogan said flatly, "This one's a line in the sand." He emphasized how the Epstein controversy had been a major sticking point, one regularly raised during the campaign and in public discourse. Politicians had been asked about it again and again, he continued, pointing out that voters expected clarity. But then, he said, the administration offered obfuscation instead. "It feels like gaslighting on a massive scale," Rogan stated, describing what he sees as contradictory messaging from the White House. Promises of full disclosure, he argued, have been replaced by legal delays, vague statements, and closed doors. He and Baker dissected how the refusal to release records undermines faith in government, and in Trump's own rhetoric. Mike Baker, Rogan's guest, added that intelligence and justice investigations should be transparent where possible. The Epstein files involve federal resources and public interest, he explained. The longer the government refuses to release them, the more suspicion grows. According to Baker, the administration risks legal challenges, court orders, and reputational damage if the stand remains firm. Rogan agreed. He criticized Trump not as an enemy, but as a former supporter who feels betrayed. "I'm not saying I'm never going to give him credit," he clarified. "But on this issue, they drew a line and then refused to tell us what was on the other side." He said that was unacceptable, not for conspiracy theorists, but for anyone who believed in electoral integrity. The conversation shifted to the implications of secrecy. Rogan warned that if presidential administrations fail to release documents of high public importance, especially when they previously promised to do so, it sets a dangerous precedent. It erodes trust not only in one era's leadership but in future ones. It makes political rhetoric ring hollow. Baker emphasized transparency's role in national morale. When a high-profile criminal case involves wealthy and influential individuals, there's an obligation to account for any mishandling, whether at the DOJ, intelligence agencies, or the executive office. Without disclosure, the public is left to fill the gaps with doubt. Rogan circled back repeatedly to the idea of lending credibility through action, not just words. "It's one thing to speak of draining the swamp," he said. "It's another to open sealed documents, let the public see what federal investigators saw, and let courts weigh in where needed." His frustration was that Trump didn't follow through, or at least didn't force the issue when it mattered most. While Rogan acknowledged he could still respect Trump's other accomplishments, he refused to accept silence on Epstein as anything less than a betrayal. "This is not about politics," he asserted. "It's about whether leaders keep their word to their supporters and the country." He framed it as a boundary no administration should cross. By the end of the interview, Rogan's message was unmistakable. The Epstein files are not just another scandal, they're a measure of leadership accountability. Refusing full transparency on them represents a clear failure to deliver on campaign promises and to treat citizens as stakeholders in justice. Regardless of personal politics, he concluded, there are moments when popular entertainers and podcasters like himself must demand answers, and publicly call out whom they once supported, if those leaders refuse to follow through. For Rogan, July 25, 2025, became that moment. And he made it clear he's not backing down until the administration